Hello all and welcome back to the Roster of Dreams, the show where we take a hypothetical fighting game and build our dream roster around said fighting game. Today will be an interesting one because we will be doing something Capcom hasn't done in a while, seeing that the last time it didn't go so well. I will be doing a Capcom Fighting All-Stars fighting game, where it is essentially Capcom vs Capcom. Last time Capcom did something like this was Capcom Fighting Evolution, and people didn't like that for many reasons. They were missing popular characters like Morgan and Ken, among others. The sprites aside from Ingrid were just copied and pasted from other games like Street Fighter 2, Darkstalkers, Street Fighter Alpha, Street Fighter 3, and Red Earth. Also, the game was incredibly unbalanced because the characters played exactly how they would play in their respective series. Also, it was just from fighting game franchises. They didn't even use anything from Mega Man, Resident Evil, Devil May Cry. They didn't even use anything from the 3D fighting games like Rival Schools or Plasma Sword. So now that we got that out of the way, time to go over how many characters will be in this hypothetical game. I decided to take a look at how many characters were in Capcom Fighting Evolution, and there were 23 total characters. 4 from Street Fighter 2, 4 from Street Fighter Alpha, 4 from Street Fighter 3, 4 from Darkstalkers if you count the boss, 5 if you count the boss Pyron, 4 from Red Earth. Also there was Shin Akuma and Ingrid. So I decided to multiply 23 by 2 and I got 46. Also, when it comes to characters from franchises being represented, I will try to limit myself to at least 5 characters per franchise. Also, if I include someone like X or Zero from the Mega Man series, I will count them as separate franchises from the Mega Man franchises, so they would be able to represent the Mega Man X franchise. I also wanted it to play like the Capcom vs SNK series, where if you lose a match, you start round 2 with a whole other character, and if your opponent loses a match, your opponent will be a different character. Enough of me talking about everything but the roster, so let's get to the roster. Ryu. Of course, I have to start with the face of the Street Fighter series as well as the face of Capcom himself, Ryu. He's already a fighting game character, so he wouldn't change too much. Ken. I have to go ahead and get my Street Fighter representation out of the way, so why not go with Ryu's rival Ken? Chun-Li. I also have to include Chun-Li because not only is she one of the biggest faces of Street Fighter, she is considered the first lady of fighting games. Akuma. Probably one of the biggest characters in Street Fighter all around. We also need some villain representation. Also, he's not the only Street Fighter villain who will be playable. M. Bison. I of course had to get the main antagonist out of the Street Fighter series, so here's M. Bison. Morgan. I also have to have some dark representation from Darkstalkers, and I can't have any Darkstalkers rep without including Morgan. I know people get sick of her being the only Darkstalkers character in the Capcom vs series, but I have to correct that mistake Capcom made when they didn't include her in Capcom Fighting Evolution. Felicia. She is the second biggest face from the Darkstalkers series, so I definitely have to include her. John Talbane. I know this will be a slightly weird one, but I'm going to put John Talbane in here because he needs to be in the Versus series. Dimitri. The original face of Darkstalkers before Morgan got promoted more, and when it came to Darkstalkers characters, I wanted to go with characters that hadn't really appeared in the Versus series, so I went with Dimitri. Jeddah. For our final Darkstalkers character, I am picking Jeddah because we need more villain representation. Batsu. I know some people will say that this should count as a Street Fighter because Rival Schools and Street Fighter are in the same universe, but I will count Rival Schools as a separate franchise like how Donkey Kong, Yoshi, and Wario represent their respective Mario spin-off series. Hinata. So I have one more rival schools character to get out of the way. So after Hinata, I have Kiyosuke. So I have a total of 3 rival schools characters represented. Also, surprisingly enough, him and Batsu, at least to my knowledge, are the only rival school characters to be represented in the Versus series. Hayato. I of course have to get Capcom's legacy of fighting games out of the way, so after Hayato I have 3 more Capcom fighting game series to get out of the way. Jin Sayatomi. So last year I picked up the first Capcom fighting collection and I got to play Cyberbots, and I obviously knew who Jin Sayatomi was when I played Marvel vs. Capcom. Also, he isn't the only Cyberbots character making an appearance in this hypothetical game. Princess Devilot. Now, I of course included Jin Sayatomi because he is the face of the franchise, but she is the most popular character in the franchise since she has more recent appearances than Jin. Leo. I of course have to go with the main protagonist of Red Earth while I'm talking about Red Earth. Let's get the other 3 characters out of the way. Tessa. I'm including Tessa because while Leo might be the main character of the game, Tessa is the most popular and she has been in the crossover games since the Super Puzzle Fighter series. Kenji. I will admit that I am biased when I include Kenji because he is my favorite to play as. Also, seeing that I already have 3 of the main characters in Red Earth, I might as well add Mei Ling. Yeah, it's like with that Nickelodeon Smash episode I did earlier this year with the Ninja Turtles. If you're going to have characters represent Red Earth, at least 4 characters represented from Red Earth, you might as well include all 4 main characters. Unlike what Fighting Evolution did, where you play as 2 of the main characters and the other 2 are boss fighters. Edward Falcon. I know I probably have some Power Stone fans watching this video, so I'm going to include Edward Falcon. Also, he's not the only Power Stone character I'm including. Rouge. I think she might be the 2nd most popular character in the Power Stone series. I wouldn't really know because I haven't played Power Stone. So, I'll just include another Power Stone character to make the Power Stone fans happy. Mega Man. Now that I got my fighting game representation out of the way, now I can get to the other popular Capcom franchises. Mega Man is one of the big 3 for me when it comes to video game mascots. He's right up there with Mario and Sonic, and yes, I know that's a bias, but that's pretty much why I'm including him. Roll. I'm just getting my Mega Man bias out of the way, so why stop at Mega Man? Let's include his sister Roll. Proto Man. I just can't stop there. I gotta include Proto Man. I have one last Mega Man character for you, well, at least for the original Mega Man series. Bass. He is the last Mega Man character from the original series. X. I also have to get some Mega Man X representation out of the way, so I'm definitely including X. Zero. If I'm talking about Mega Man X characters, I can't forget about Zero. He is a mainstay in the Capcom fighting games. Sigma. I also gotta have some more villain representation out of the way. So Sigma is in here, and also we need him in a better fighting game, seeing that Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite did him so dirty. Tron Bonne. Tron Bonne is a popular character in Mega Man spin-offs, and she is a popular character in stuff like Marvel vs. Capcom. Chris Redfield. Resident Evil is arguably Capcom's biggest franchise as of right now, so we gotta have some Resident Evil characters. And I know what you're thinking, Leon should be in this over Chris, but I will get to him eventually. Jill Valentine. Aside from Leon, which we will get to in a moment, Jill is another super popular character in the Resident Evil franchise, so it would be insane not to include her. Leon Kennedy. He is the most popular Resident Evil character, and he has yet to have a piece of the Capcom vs. series action, so we gotta include Leon. Claire Redfield. Okay, I'm mainly including Claire because if we have the first two protagonists from the first Resident Evil game, we just can't have Leon Kennedy. We also gotta have Claire Redfield. Wesker. I just can't stop at the heroes in this series. I also have to include a villain, so I'm going with one of the biggest Capcom villains being Wesker. Dante. Devil May Cry is a pretty big thing right now with the anime that came out just last year, and it would be a crime not to include Dante. Also, he would be based on his look from Devil May Cry 5, as his last few appearances in the Versus series are based on Devil May Cry 3. Virgil. You can't have Dante without Virgil, and when it comes to Devil May Cry, we just can't stop there. We have to include Nero. Nero was a big star in Devil May Cry 5, so it would be insane not to include him. Lady. It is crazy to think that Lady hasn't been included in the Capcom vs. series yet, so we have to include her. Trish. Last DMC character, I promise. But seeing that she already has experience with the Capcom vs. series, with her being in Marvel vs. Capcom 3, it just feels right to include her. Monster Hunter. Monster Hunter is another big franchise for Capcom, so I obviously gotta include a Monster Hunter character. So I'm including the Monster Hunter, who will be taken from Marvel vs. Capcom Infinite. Strider Hiryu. Strider is a mainstay in the Versus series, so I have to include Strider. Captain Commando. Captain Commando hasn't been in the Versus series since Marvel vs. Capcom 2, but I feel like it would be a great return for the character. Phoenix Wright. Ace Attorney is another big franchise for Capcom, so we gotta include Phoenix Wright, and he also already has experience with the Marvel vs. Capcom series. Arthur. I'm gonna include some old school Capcom characters, so I'm gonna include Sir Arthur from the Ghost and Goblins series. Frank West. Gotta give Dead Rising some love, so I'm gonna include Frank West. There you have it. There is a hypothetical roster for a Capcom Fighting All-Stars game. In alphabetical order, we have Akuma, Arthur, Bass, Batsu, Captain Commando, Chris Redfield, Chun-Li, Claire Redfield, Dante, Dimitri, Edward Falcon, Felicia, Frank West, Hayato, Hinata, Jeddah, Jill Valentine, Jin Sayatomi, John Talbot, Ken, Kenji, Kayosuke, Lady, Leo, Leon Kennedy, M. Bison, Mai Ling, Mega Man, Monster Hunter, Morrigan, Nero, Phoenix Wright, Princess Devilot, Proto Man, Roll, Rouge, Ryu, Sigma, Strider Hiryu, Tessa, Trish, Tron Bon, Virgil, Wesker, X, and Zero. Pretty good roster, but I do think we can do better with DLC. So as DLC will go, I will take a page out of Street Fighter 6's playbook and have 4 characters per pack. Also, there will be 3 DLC packs. And when I go picking DLC characters, I will pick 2 characters who haven't been in a Capcom vs. series game, and the other 2 will be characters who have been in the Capcom vs. series. Starting with DLC Pack 1 for the characters who have been in the Capcom vs. series, I'm going with Spencer from the Bionic Commando series and Beautiful Joe. As for the 2 new characters, I'm picking Ada Wong from the Resident Evil franchise and Lord Raptor from the Darkstalkers franchise. Onto DLC Pack 2, I'm picking Mike Hagar from the Final Fight series and Amaterasu from Okami. Onto characters who have yet to be in the Capcom vs. series, I picked Ibuki from Street Fighter and Akira from Rival Schools. And finally, DLC Pack 3. For the characters who have already been in a versus game, I picked Saki Amakane from Quiz no Nairo, hopefully I pronounced that right, and Ingrid, who made her debut in the Capcom Fighting Evolution. I know she isn't a loved character among Capcom fans, but I think we should pay a little tribute to what came before. As for the new characters, I picked Lady Dimitrescu from Resident Evil and Axel from Mega Man X. That's the main roster and the DLC packs. Did you like the picks? What would be your dream roster for a Capcom Fighting All-Stars game? Let me know in the comments. Be sure to like and subscribe, hit the notification bell to be notified for new videos. Also be sure to follow me on other socials like Instagram and TikTok. Links for those will be in the description. My name is Mac. Hope you guys have a nice day.
I see it, and now it's all within my reach. I see it now. It's always been inside of me.